You can do, let's say you're over the fever and everything, you can do it anytime. We've got them.
Just come to the back or do that?
Yeah, just come to the back and we'll get it for you.
Okay, we're ready to go.
And that index form.
I'll be there.
I'll text you for it. No, you were slow, so because I got to the point I couldn't even talk
Bless it.
between sweat dropping off my eyelash. I was fixing that. Sweat dropping off my eyelash.
No, knock on wood, I've not had that, well,
Be
besides the
thankful,
study
be
driver.
thankful.
I had the study drivers too.
Oh, I haven't had
I
that.
don't know if you can see the sign on.
That's
Okay, everybody, I think we're live. I'd like to welcome everyone to this regular board meeting, October 19th, 2023 at 6 p.m. at the Estill County Board of Education Boardroom on Main Street in Irvin. This is spring break week for us, so we have all of our board members here except Brian Covey. And at this time, I would like to call this meeting to order. Welcome. There comes Brian Covey right now. I hadn't heard from you, so I said, I'm not sure if he's coming. I thought y'all might have went on spring break or fall break.
No.
Okay, so let's call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the board members. We'd like to start off this meeting by standing and saying our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Brock, you're scaring me getting that close to the edge.
Be all right.
Watch him go.
Won't be the first time I fail.
Since we have no visitors, there's no sign-in, so, Mr. Brock, do we have any revisions to the agenda?
No.
Okay. First of all, we have our recognitions.
We won't have anybody here tonight because of fall break. We'll pick that back up next week.
Okay, so we'll move right along. Next on our agenda is our facilities and construction update. We have Estill Springs first.
Okay, so we've got, for Estill Springs, they came today actually and hydro-seeded and replaced the trees that was dead. They had been waiting for a little bit of rain and a little bit of moisture before they come and did that so that they would, and so the forecast showed a little rain also, I think, for Saturday, so that it maybe would do a better job of taking. And then Babcon's gonna come Saturday and work on the sign if the parts come in. And if the parts don't come in, they'll come work on it when it does come in. And when that's finished, then that'll finalize what's going on there, and they'll have a complete report and final closeout documents for us at the board meeting in November.
And so that's our Estill Springs update. Next on our agenda is our Estill County Safety and ADA Upgrade Project.
So Jarbo reported that that all the hardware issues have been addressed at both the middle school and at South Irvin. I know they've got a meeting, which it's not Jarbo, it'd be Rise and Sons, got a meeting with the high school coming up. We'll talk about that. The existing hardware observations, some of them are outside of Jarbo's contract scope, and we're going to meet and try to conclude on how we can fix that. There's some existing lock set damage and stuff like that, and there's some different things that may be loose that they have to tighten up. Some of the strike plates are missing. They'll fix that. And some of the issues with the deadbolt, which has to do with actually the manufacturer themselves. They're going to finish that all up, and they'll have that also for us in November.
Okay. Do we have any questions or any discussion on those updates? Okay,
They
so
should take care of everything after that, wouldn't it, right?
Yeah, and then it's not, well, I can discuss a little more in my report, but there's a meeting coming up too with Schiller for the high school and the issues that's still ongoing there.
Next on our agenda, that brings us down to our action items. First of all, we have consideration for approval of the following out-of-state trips. The first one is the Estill County Middle School National League Conference, which is Thursday, January 25th, 2024 to Washington, D.C.
Yes.
The second one is the Estill County High School National League Conference, Thursday, January 25th through the 28th, 2024 to Washington, D.C. And then the third one is the Estill County High School Annual 2024 Senior Trip to Washington, D.C., which will be April 3rd through the 6th of 2024.
Yeah, it's on spring break, so I don't have numbers for those yet, but I'll report those once we get them. They're gonna be open to whoever wants to go.
Okay, so do you want to do those first three as a vote and
Yes.
approval? Okay.
Yep.
So the three out-of-state trips that we discussed, I need a motion for approval for those students to attend. Have a motion by Sheila Samples, I have a second by Tammy Hardy. Do we have any discussion or any questions?
So the senior trip is on
It's on spring
Spring
break.
break.
Yep.
okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor of those out-of-state trips? Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Okay. Next, we have consideration for approval of CATS, and this is our first offer of assistance. Would you like to discuss that, Mr. Brock?
So, you all are familiar, I'm sure, that every year we get offers of assistance from CATS. We got this, I talked to Mr. Simpson about it. It has to be board approved, and that's just the money that they sent us for technology. It's a matching approval, so they'll send us a certain amount of money, and then we match it. This is around, I think, 20,000. When we get all of our offers for this year, it'll be pretty close to what it was last year. It's not quite 20,000, but when we get all of our offers and approve them, it'll be pretty close to what it was last year, which would be around $90,000. So I recommend that we approve this to get those matching funds.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve the CATS, offer of assistance as discussed. Brian Covey makes a motion, Sheila Samples makes a second. Do we have any discussion, any questions? If not, I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next on our agenda, we have consideration for approval of bank account signature, and that's the changes for the middle school.
Yeah, and also probably addition of Mr. Cornett, which is, and if we need to put that on a different one, I didn't realize that it just said the middle school. The reason for the middle school is we've hired Ms. Plowman to be up here in the to work here at central office and taking on some other roles, and then we hired Ms. Hardy to replace her out at the middle school, so we'll have to get those accounts changed over.
Okay. And so you would also like to include Mr. Cornett?
I would, to get him on the accounts and general fund accounts and also the school accounts. Yep,
So
we'll add him as well.
We'll add that to our minutes. So at this time, I need a motion to approve those bank signature changes for the middle school and also to add Mr. Cornett. Sheila Samples makes a motion, Tammy Hardy makes a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next, that brings us down to our routine consent items. First on the agenda, we have approval of the minutes of the September 21st regular board meeting, and we also have approval of the treasurer's report and payment of bills.
Yeah, it's my recommendation we approve the September minutes and the treasurer's report for the payment of bills.
I need a motion to approve those minutes and also the treasurer's report. Carrie Smallwood makes a first, Brian Covey makes a second. Do we have any discussion? Okay, if not, I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next on our agenda, it brings us down to the superintendent's report. Mr. Brock, give us an update.
All right, so we talked about what was going on with construction. The middle school, I know Mr. Wesley came last time, he talked about everything that he was doing to try to help. I have consolidated all the documents to try to get assistance for that, and I have sent them off to the state today. I'll wait for a email back on that and then just kind of work on what our next steps is. I've been working with Mr. Codell to gather all those, and with Ross Tarn as well. We did get our KFIX report updated from KDE. Ross Tarn come and toured, and they came from KDE and toured. And so that report should be updated. I know he has all the documents, and he thought he would get that done by this week. I'll check on that actually tomorrow. So that's as far as like trying to get the emergency funding for our middle school, and I'll know what the next steps for that is. They did an emergency, kind of a tentative BG1 draft on what that would cost, and that was sent in with asking for assistance. The high school Rising Sun is supposed to come down and meet, and I think a representative from Schiller is going to come and meet tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Some of that work will be warranty work. Some of it will be continuation of what was done. I think there was 93 different issues that I had here that's noted for inspection and for a report so that they can get to the bottom of what's going on there. Some of it with athletics and some throughout the building. Some of the cores we'll have to order because they weren't in the initial they weren't in the initial what we wanted done after Mr. Saylor made some changes, but we've added one or two for some exterior doors so that we can have access. So they're going to meet tomorrow. Cohort meetings, I had cohort meetings this week in Elizabethtown. That's part of the new superintendent. That's continued to go well. Went to the Kentucky Association of School Superintendents, got to talk to the governor about funding and my concerns there. He's talking about a raise across the state for teachers, and I told him that would be great, but we need an increase in seat base to kind of shrink the gap of discrepancies between rich districts and poor districts. And I gave him the example of, we can raise taxes all day long, but it doesn't generate the same funds. It's like Fayette raising taxes or other districts that are very wealthy with property. And we don't want to put that burden on our people either. But the reality is, if we raise taxes 1%, we generate about, $15,000. If Fayette raises 1%, they generate about $500,000. And our per pupil assessment's $338,000 per pupil. That ain't what we get. That's just per pupil per property. Fayette's is 1.1 million, and Anchorage's is 1.5 million. And so there's a difference there. And so when I talked to him, I asked him to consider increasing seat base to shrink that gap. Back in the late 80s and 90, when that gap was ruled unconstitutional, it was $3,400 per student difference. Right now for us, it's $3,902 difference per student. So we know that it's at levels that are more than that are unconstitutional. He was open to that and asked me to send him an email, so I did. I have a meeting with the lieutenant governor next week to further discuss that. So that was beneficial from that. Our walkthrough document so that we can track what we got going on academically in classrooms and just overall so that we can focus on professional development and academic improvement in the district will be live Monday. And so we'll have that ready starting Monday. Scores, I do have them, but they are embargoed. And they will be embargoed until the 30th, where we can share them with staff, and then the 31st public. I'll have a presentation put together where I can meet with you all individually, or we can do two at a time, or if you all want to have a special call meeting just to go over that, and I'll kind of go over that with you and kind of lay out where we're at and what our plan is for the next 3 or 4 years for academic improvement. And that's about all I have. Lots of wonderful things going on in the district. Coaching from an academics perspective is going well. Principals have taken well to that. Our coaches have been well received in the buildings and their coaching with teachers. Thank you again for approving the additional coach so that everyone had one. We have made some interviews and we'll announce shortly and who is going to fill that position.
Okay, anyone have any questions or any concerns? Okay. Next on our agenda was our principal report. Did anybody leave anything for you?
No, I don't. I had let them off the hook because of fall break,
Yeah.
and so we'll pick back up next month.
And last on our agenda, we have our board member forum. Does anybody have anything that they would like to add?
I
No?
think we need to congratulate the band on everything.
Oh yeah, they're wonderful.
And their
I
soccer
got to
team.
watch them at South Laurel the other night. They were great, and the soccer team, they've done wonderful.
Volleyball?
Volleyball as well, yeah. Yeah.
All our sports.
All of our sports and all of our extracurriculars, they're doing really, really well. Proud of them.
Yep, extremely proud.
Been
Yeah,
a
I
good
think
few.
something, I think it was the game, the little game thing they go, that play game, they won it.
Yeah.
One of your bunch times.
Yeah, it's been a great couple of weeks to be an engineer, so.
It's always great to be an engineer.
That's right, that's right.
And no public comments that I'm aware of.
I can go
Yep.
back here and look, but I don't think we have any.
I don't think there's any.
Yeah.
So, with all of that being said, I'd like to call for an adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Earliest supper time I've ever got to.
Sheila Samples makes a motion. Tammy Hardy makes a second. All in favor? This meeting is adjourned at 6:16.
Let me go hit stop.